What's happening, party people? Allow me to give you my sales pitch. So, I think we all can agree that nothing in this world takes place until something or someone is sold. And it covers pretty much every territory. You're going to get sold on the home that you just closed on, or renting a new space, or getting an office space, or you sold your employer that you were the best employee to hire for the job. You sold that client on why they should hire you for your services. You sold your children on the vision for their success. You sold yourself that you could get through that aerobics or cycling class. Nothing really significant happens until something is sold. So allow me to give you my sales pitch. And I want you to take into consideration the current climate that we are in, because people are dealing with some significant challenges. And the challenges, everything is cyclical, and there are periods where the challenges are greater for more people than they were previously. And that just happens, right? It happens every 3 to 6 years. You're going to see some significant shifts, and we're in the middle of one of those shifts right now. And because of that, I just felt compelled to share some of my experience, and hopefully can bring some value to your equation as you're in the midst of your own problem solving. I don't know what your situation is. You may be having a struggle with, like, I have so much excess cash flow coming in every month, Ed, I don't know what to do with it. That's a real challenge for some people. You may be dealing with the fact that, hey, you know what, I'm working just as hard, if not harder, but my income is not growing in alignment with the effort I've been putting forth, Ed. I don't feel like I'm getting a return on my sweat equity. And then you may be in a situation where you're desperate to be of use, you're desperate to be of service, and you've not been able to find that vehicle or find that place or space where you can fit in and do you, and really add value. Wherever you're at, I believe that this message will give you some hope, some insight, and most importantly, some specific strategic methods and partnering that you could definitely gain from. So when I look at how I'm processing things, I look at it from that famous speech that Steve Jobs talked about, connecting the dots. A lot of times we're going through different dynamics in our life, and we don't always understand why. And sometimes you're catching it from all sides, and you're saying to yourself, why is this happening to me? Like, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing, but nothing seems to be working. Or I've been showing up every day. I can't believe they pulled the rug from underneath me and I don't have a job anymore. I used to come early and stay late. I was the best employee there. And now all of a sudden I'm unemployed and I'm having a hard time finding a new job. You may find yourself in a situation where your entire world is turned upside down. And when we're going through that, it's hard to have perspective. And usually we will be able to grasp some greater perspective as time progresses, because time heals all. So in that speech, Steve Jobs talked about, it's only when you look back can you connect those dots and understand why you had to go through what you had to go through, which brings you to this moment in time. So when I think about my own journey and the tremendous blessings that have been bestowed upon me, the incredible opportunities, the ridiculous relationships and adventures that I've been fortunate to experience, I have nothing but gratitude. And I have equal amount of gratitude for the trial and the tribulations, the dark periods, the valleys, the storms, because those were some of the greatest lessons that I have learned along the way. I remember George Clooney talking about the fact that someone was touting his success, and he was like, look, I'm very fortunate. I'm very lucky. You got to have some luck. And he was like, you know what? Success is not all that it's cracked up to be, because you don't really learn a lot, if anything, when you're successful. He's like, what I'm grateful for, what I appreciate, are all those years when I didn't have a hit television show. I kept getting on shows that were canceled and I couldn't find work and I had to, struggle and I had to borrow money and I had to figure out a way to just survive. He's like, that's when I got my most valuable lessons. And I thought it was very insightful for someone that has achieved the monumental impact and success that he's achieved, that he has that kind of humility and perspective on where he is. And so when I think about my time as a college student, I was talking with my daughter and I said, hey, you don't have to go to college if you don't want to. And she's like, no, I want to go. And I was, surprised. I really thought she was going to want to spend some time in the workforce, but she said, nope, go on, I'm going to go after it. And she's absolutely crushing it, by the way, like crushing it. So I'm really proud of her. And she didn't want to go to college. And when I went to college, that's just what you did. I was resistant to it, but I was glad that I went because built some incredible relationships. And I found that for me, I learned how to think. I learned how to process. I was challenged. I was never told what to think. I was told how to process information. I was taught how to question things, critical thinking and debating skills and oratory skills and all of that, and how to properly research things and go beyond what that first book is going to give you. And so I was really grateful to be surrounded by so much brilliance, so many great scholars that were also athletes, that were also orators and business and entrepreneurial people. And it was just really great exposure and lifelong relationships. And that was my takeaway. When I went to Yale for graduate school, that was a little bit different because that was a specialty that I was going there for, because I knew what I wanted to do. I knew where I was going. And so I honed in on that. And for 3 years, I was completely immersed in this world where we all had a chance to dive deep into our passion and our purpose and to beat on our craft every single day. 10, 12, 14-hour days were not an abnormal thing. It was a phenomenal time to be in this boot camp. And coming out of Yale and going straight to New York and, starting to work right away, pretty much right away. I had to hustle for about 6 months, but here's what I got. I got that for me personally, I don't like not knowing. I don't like when people tell me that something is not doable. And so I get really turned on by those type of challenges, because I certainly was told on more than one occasion that there was no way I was getting into the Yale, graduate school. Like, it wasn't going to happen. So, and so for me, I have to be able to pull the curtain back. I want to know what's going on. And I like to earn my way without ever having to ask, but to earn my way to that seat at the table. That's exactly what happened. Because not only did I have the experience when I was at Yale, but I was also asked to be the chair of the graduate network while I was there. So I had an opportunity to meet and build relationship with people at the med school, the law school, the business school, the divinity school, school of forestry, et cetera, school of nursing. Like, I met so many people from so many different walks of life, and it really expanded my horizons and helped me get introduced to so many different stories and life stories and perspectives and career tracks and all of that. And so then coming into the world of entertainment as an actor and knowing, hey, there's 92 to 94% unemployment. It's a little bit higher now. The average actor's making between $6,000 and $8,000 a year. It was a little bit lower back then. And it's only about 0.06% of the acting population that people that that you've seen them before, you recognize them on the red carpet, they're making good money. That's 0.06% of the entire acting body. It's like 225,000 members of the Screen Actors Guild. So I understood that coming into that space, I couldn't focus on the odds. The odds had nothing to do with me. I couldn't focus on the statistics that had nothing to do with me. I had to focus on what I came there to do, which was to be a full-time working actor. So that was a non-negotiable for me. So what I learned was that, number one, if you focus on your craftsmanship and you're willing to dedicate 10 years to something, you can be successful. And I got 10 years from Michael Chekhov. Michael Chekhov wrote a book called To the Actor. And then Stanislavski, he wrote a series of books. One is called Building a Character, The Art of Acting, I think it was the first one. And then the other one was something about creative or whatever, but it was a 3-book series. And he talked about the fact that it's going to take you 10 years to have a mastery, a level of mastery over your craft. And so I just put my head down and I knew if I stick with it for 10 years, boom, it's going to happen. And that's what happened. And so by the time I got to New York, I was prepared because I put in time before I got to Yale. I put in time during Yale, and I was ready to hit the ground running. So that enabled me to become a full-time working actor pretty quickly, all things considered. Okay, I wasn't hanging around for, more than 7 months without being able to create that world for myself. It wasn't years, it was months. So what I took away from that was the power of not overestimating what you can do in a year and not underestimating what you can do in 10. In this world and in this time and in this era of clickbait and instant gratification and take my course and you'll make $1 million and everything's going to happen for you fast and let's get you going, and everybody's like selling the quick fix, and everybody wants instant gratification. Now, how many likes did I get? How many people commented on my post? And people are getting that instantaneous feedback. A young lady puts a post up and she's got her stuff, her breast meat hanging out and all of that. And now she's got, 3,000 men commenting on her post. Well, if that woman ever decides that she wants to be in a relationship, it's doomed to failure because no one man can compete with 3,000 people giving her feedback. And that feedback is not real. That's not reality. You can't build a life with 3,000 likes. You can't build a life with 3,000 comments. You can't build a family with 3,000 comments. You can't create a legacy with 3,000 comments or 3 million comments. It don't work that way. And so people are living in these bubbles of unreality. And so when you have that kind of cognitive dissonance and that kind of disconnect, then again, it just takes you down this path where you lose sight of the fact that let me just focus on something and put my time and energy into this thing until I get the results. And let me put my head down for 10 years. And see, some of you all hear me say that and you're like, Ed, I don't have 10 years. Well, the 10 years are going to come and go regardless. And see, it's that kind of thinking that gets people in trouble because then they go and try this thing and they try that thing and they try that thing and they try that thing because they keep looking for the quick fix, and there is no quick fix. And that's why they keep hopping around. And I understand it. I get it. I've been an entrepreneur for 14 years, okay? A little over 14 years because I started in speaking and then I moved into business and building business. So for me, I had a really good run as a professional speaker, and it took me, I started speaking non-professionally in 1998. By 2007, I was earning $12,000 an hour. So I started in 1998. By 2007, I was making $12,000 an hour. It's about 10 years, right? And then when I started in business, it took me, I don't know, I want to say probably 5 years before I was really like churning on all things. But I got to combine what I learned in my previous iterations because I brought all of that experience when I started in business. So it didn't take me 10 years necessarily, but it did take 5 before I was making life-changing income and impacting a lot of lives along the way and building that. But my point is this, is that it takes time. And so when you are looking at your current situation right now and you're asking yourself, there has to be a better way. You're asking yourself, there's got to be something greater than my current vehicle, because the vehicle I'm driving right now, Ed, is not going to get me to the freedom that I aspire to. I see a vision for myself and my family, and this vehicle is not going to get me there. So what else can I do? So you want to look at and ask the right questions in terms of the people that you align yourself with, the vehicle that you decide that you want to drive, the viability of the vehicle. Is it the kind of a vehicle that has longevity where you can see and know based on its track record and the manufacturers of said vehicle that it's going to last a really long time? You're going to be able to put 200, 300,000 miles on there and it's still going to be running just like it did from day one? Or do you get the vehicle that looks really good and pretty and shiny, but there's nothing underneath the hood, and you drive it out the lot and it's dead within a month? So you want to be mindful of the type of vehicle and what's behind and what's inside of it, what's underneath the hood before making that decision. And then also you want to look at how does the compensation give me an opportunity to get what I want in terms of the freedom for my family, in terms of being an example of financial independence to my community, and being able to give the way that I want to give and tithe the way that I want to tithe and give to organizations and communities and support the way that I want to. Does this vehicle give me that opportunity? And when you have those things and they're all aligned with your values and your principles, and you can see, because of the right partnerships, strategic partnerships are so important. Flying with eagles, not pigeons, but eagles. And then you get to work. And when you have all of that, that's where the magic can happen. And this is someone that I'm talking from experience, not from theory, not from something I saw on YouTube or I read in a book. I know exactly what it's like to start just with an idea in myself and a desire to change the quality of my life, and then go out and start identifying people that also want to improve the quality of their lives. And then you lock arms, and the next thing you know, where there are 2 or 3 gathered in my name, it's a wrap, okay? That's me messing up the proverb, but it's a wrap. You got 2 or 3, it's game over. So I'm telling you from experience, I know what it's like to start with 2 or 3, and then that grows to tens of thousands, over 100,000, but tens of thousands of people that also said, hey, I want to improve the quality of my life. I know what it's like to help 1,000 families earn a passive income. I know what it's like to help, dozens and dozens of individuals make multiple 6 and even 7 figures. I know what that is from zero to those results in real time. So when I look at my personal journey, again, I have nothing but gratitude. When I look at my personal struggles and trials and tribulations, being in business, being an entrepreneur, it's not always easy. Sometimes things are up, sometimes things are down. But the question is, are you able to maintain your equilibrium and keep the main thing the main thing? You got to be willing to fail. You got to be willing to try things and things don't work. You got to be willing to have partnerships, and some of those partnerships are not great. But what are you learning? Are you getting better? As long as you're not repeating the same mistake twice. And if you're getting better, you learn, as I've learned, looking back and connecting the dots, I had to go through all those things, all those challenges. I had to take some L's along the way so that I could arrive where I am right now. And that's the beauty of it, ladies and gentlemen, is stick-to-itiveness, being willing to course correct, and also having measurable results along the way. The proof is in the pudding. So what I like to do when I'm giving you my pitch, I say, hey, I'm gonna show you everything. No hype, no exaggeration, no gassing you up. You're gonna see everything with me. You'll see all of my data. You're gonna see everybody else's data. We're gonna pull the curtain back. I remember when I was working with Denzel Washington on Julius Caesar, and then we did a movie called Inside Man. He pulled the curtain back for me. He's like, I'm gonna show you the game. I'm gonna give it all to you straight so you can manage your expectations, E. I was like, bet, let's do it. And I was so happy that he took the time to pour into me and give me that insight and that information, because him pulling the curtain back helped me to ask better questions and make some different decisions that changed the course of my life. So, ladies and gentlemen, I say all that to say this. If you're in a situation where you're looking for some solutions, you got some problems, you haven't come up with the solution to it, let's have a conversation. That's not going to hurt. Won't cost you anything to have a conversation. If you want more, but you're not sure what you want to do to get more, let's have a conversation. If you know you're hungry, if you know you're ready, great, let's have a conversation. I'm not saying that anything's going to come out of it that we're going to end up working together. I don't know. But I do know this: you won't know if you don't go. And so go to your DM and DM me. I'm at Ed Blunt, Instagram, Facebook. You can call me if you got my number, call me direct, but I check my messages every day on social media, and I'm happy to have a conversation with you. Because here's one thing that I've come to appreciate. There's not a lot of people that have my experience. There's not a lot of people that have my track record. There's not a lot of people that have done what I've done, and there's value in that. You can learn from what I've had wins in and where I've taken my L's, and how I'm putting all of that together now to make a great experience and a great outcome for so many people in real time. So look forward to having a conversation with you. Hopefully you got some things going off in your head, some thoughts, when you look back on your own story, you take some gems and you realize, you know what, I got some stuff in me, Ed, and I haven't even started yet. You know what, Ed, I'm ready to take it to the next level. I'm not going to be limited by my current circumstance because my vision is much greater than my current circumstance. And I know, Ed, that my circumstances are not my conclusion. So let's get to work. I look forward to having a conversation with you.